We shall fight in France. We shall fight on the seas and oceans. We shall fight with growing confidence and growing strength in the air. We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender.
Hey everybody, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. This is Matthew and this is Midwest to Gotham. Thank you for taking some time to join me. I'm excited because today is it's a good day. This is the very first interview I'm doing on my new interview web series, which is called Tell Your Story. What this is about is that I plan on bringing just people, local people from my community, from my town on, and give them a platform so they can share their story. Personally, for me, it doesn't even matter what the story is about. It can be about something topical, something that's been happening on the political stage, or just something that's going on in their personal life. The goal is to give people who don't have a voice a platform so they can share their life. And the goal for others is that if you listen to their stories, you will show that your life is not that bad. Whatever you have going on in your life, someone out there is going through the exact same struggle. Millions and millions of good people are affected by a lot of different issues. And you may feel alone, you may feel tragic, you may feel destitute. But just realize that you're just living a life that we all live, and we can find a way out together. The good thing about a universal struggle is that there are universal answers. Hopefully, it is my goal that through some of these interviews that you're going to see, someone has a story that relates to you. And if they've been able to improve upon their life, then you can use that information, tricks and tips to improve the quality of your life. This is how they did it, so this is what you can do, or vice versa. Sometimes you're going to hear some heartbreaking stories where there's no answer. They are where they are. Some illnesses can't be cured. Some financial situations, the people are just there. But maybe you've been through that and they don't know the answer, but you know the answer. You saw the interview. I'm like, wait, that happened to my mom. My uncle went through that. I'm going through that. This is what I did. So we can help each other. The goal is about encouraging each other, building a community, and sharing our stories. This channel is going to have all kind of stuff, but for me, that is the number one issue that I want to address. This is the focal point of this channel. So I hope you enjoy it. The lady I'm bringing on is a good friend of mine. Her name is Latasha Smith, and she wants to share her story about her student debt. She has graduated school. She has a story about debt, which may surprise some of you. A lot of people suffer from student debt issues. I know I did. I'm out of school now. I've almost paid mine off, but a lot of people haven't. So she wants to share her story, and she has some advice on something that can help you if you're suffering from student debt. Or maybe you've already passed that hurdle and you're good and you have some advice for us on how to improve our student debt situation. Well, she wants to come and share her story, and hopefully you'll enjoy it. So I want to thank her, and I want to thank you for sticking around, and let's see if we can make something positive out of this. Let's go. Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for stopping by the channel. As always, I'm Matthew. Welcome to my show, Midwest to Gotham, and I promise you an interview. And this is my very first interview for this channel. And here I have, introduce yourself.
My name is Latasha Smith.
And Latasha Smith is a good friend of mine, just for full disclosure. We've been close friends for about a decade. And she actually encouraged me to go to school. So I'm bringing her on my show so she can talk about her own experience. There's a big debate out there about the cost of student loans, is college necessary, and what's going on. So she's going to tell her very own KC story, so we can get some information on how this looks at a local level, a real Kansas Cityan and their experience. So we're just going to go ahead and launch right in. So let's start here. Why don't you tell us, where'd you go to school?
I went to school at a school called National American University.
Okay.
It's a pretty popular school, has a little catchy song that entices people in.
Yeah.
On the TV, radio. But
wait a minute, is that the one night?
Yes,
Oh
yes.
yeah, I know that.
And no, you do not have to learn the song.
Right.
Yes. But I chose that school because that school, out of when I was looking at schools to decide to go to,
Right.
that school was the one school that just seemed interested in me going to their school. They asked a lot of questions,
Right.
and so that determined my choice.
Okay. How do you feel about the school?
I like the school. I think that it gave me a lot of choices. I liked it. I thought it was expensive,
Mm-hmm.
but I thought that it was worth it.
Okay, so we're talking, when we go past talking about the cost, the school itself, you give it overall a thumbs up?
Absolutely, I would encourage anyone to go to that school. I think they did a great job.
And that was who?
National American University.
All right.
One day, one night, Saturday's alright. Online's just fine. Nighttime, anytime. Get your degree. Set yourself free. National American University.
How much did you know about student loans before you started going to school?
I knew very little about student loans.
Sure.
What I did know was that you could defer. As long as you were still taking classes, you could keep deferring the loan.
Fill me in. I'm not sure. What exactly is deferred?
Once you graduate, you're expected to start paying the loans back.
Okay.
But however, if you continue to take classes even after you graduate, even if it's a little class such as a painting class,
Right.
you could keep deferring your student loan. So, but I had a plan that as soon as I was done graduating, I'm going to find me a great job and
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start making my payments. So that was my plan. But I knew if push came to shove, I can just take an additional class
Mhm.
and I can defer it.
Okay, so defer is that a pretty common process where you can just take your payments and just pay it later?
Yes, you do have to, whoever the carrier is of your school loan,
Yeah.
there's a process you go through and you just go ahead and they ask you a couple questions
Right.
and then they determine whether or not you are approved for deferment.
Oh.
And one of the things that will always get that approval is you still taking classes.
Right. Okay, good. No, I've been to school, you've been to school. A lot of for-profit college is a business like anything else, so they advertise. I see a lot of commercials for school. It's funny that I've never seen one commercial for a school that talked about the actual cost of the school. Were you aware of how much your school was actually going to cost you?
That is something that they do go over with you. They
Okay.
do go over the cost.
Right.
But I felt like since I had a full-time job,
Right.
and my full-time job does do tuition reimbursement,
Oh,
I
okay.
thought that would help me with the cost of my school. So I did not think that it would be that much.
Was that your experience? Did your on the job tuition reimbursement, did that cover you? Were you good?
It will cover you
Okay.
if you choose to use it for that. Well, what you can do is when with most jobs, once you complete the course, you will turn in your grade for the course, and then your job will reimburse you. They
Right.
will cut a check and they will reimburse you. Now, what should happen or what you should do is just take that check and pay it directly back to the school.
In this case, your employer, they cut you a check
Yes.
for whatever that class is.
Yes. However, whatever the amount of that class was, you provide documentation of how much the class was, and your employer will reimburse you for that.
So what do you have to send in your grades or something
Yes,
like that?
absolutely. And what your employer pays is really based on your grades.
Oh,
You generally, with most employers, you have to have a C or a C plus or above. But generally, they will pay in full if you get an A in a class.
oh, okay. Well, it seems like you had a pretty decent grip of how this was going to go.
Yeah, I went in it thinking that, okay, I knew exactly how I was going to handle this. This is what I was going to do. This is how it was going to work out.
Okay. Well, how much did your tuition actually end up costing you?
Over $60,000.
$60,000.
Yeah.
Is that what you were told coming in? I'm assuming you spoke to a
No,
counselor,
absolutely not.
Okay, so
No.
what happened?
The way that it was broken down to me was really, by semester.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you break numbers down by semester, it doesn't not seem like it's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's all said and done, it ended up costing me over $60,000.
Wow. Okay.
That's a lot.
Yeah. And from what I hear, that's pretty standard experience.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
a lot of college, even whether online or a standard 4-year college, the average tuition cost is anywhere from $40,000 to like $100,000. So I think you fell right into the middle of.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm the government and you owe me $60,000.
Okay.
What does that break down? How much do you got to pay me? How much were they? I'm assuming it was a monthly payment set up.
Yes, there is a monthly payment based off that $60,000. My numbers came in right in at 62, and with the $62,000 payment that you have to pay back,
Sure.
you're looking at a monthly payment of about $615 a month.
$615 a month.
Which, for some of us, that's more than our rent, a car payment.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
I mean, I don't speak for everyone, but for me,
Yes.
that's a lot.
That is a lot.
Now-
Me being a single parent, that was a surprise,
Right.
for me.
I would say there are very few levels of income where an extra $600 payment would not hurt. I would think that would be challenging for anyone to come up with.
I think it would be challenging for anyone.
Right.
For $615 a month to pay back
Did
for
you-
the next 10 years, that's a lot.
Did you think it was going to be that much when you?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
I was not naive. I did realize that there would be a payment amount that would range anywhere between $150, $300, but $615 was not what I was expecting.
Let me ask you a question, and not to put. I mean, you are very gracious for coming on and sharing your story with us. So this is really just to help try to teach other people exactly how it goes in. So what happens when you don't make your payments? I hear that there's a certain level of interest. From the stories that you've told me personally off camera, that it can go from bad to worse really, really quickly.
Absolutely.
You want to fill us in on that at all, or?
Sure, absolutely. Basically, if you do not make your payments, it does affect your credit.
Right.
It will show up on your credit. If you are someone that you care about that sort of thing, that you want to make sure you do something about it. So generally, when you graduate, when you're done with school and you graduate, and I graduated a few years ago, you have to start making your payments within the first 6 months.
So you graduated when? What year?
I graduated in June of 2014.
So 2014 June, you graduated. When was your payment due? Do you remember? That was a couple years ago, but.
I do believe the payments were due, I want to say October or November.
So you got like 2 months, 3
Yeah,
months?
Exactly. And they expect that you will start making those payments. I could not afford the $615, so I immediately asked for a deferment, because you can ask for the first 2 years after graduation, you can ask for a deferment.
How was that process? Do they make that complicated for the consumer? Easy for the consumer?
No, not at all. Actually, the first 2 years after graduation and asking for a deferment, it is quite easy. You're really just going to go to the lender, whoever your lender is. You're going to answer a couple of questions and answer those, and they either approve you or they deny you. And generally, if you let the lender know that, hey, I just graduated,
Right.
I'm in a process of trying to find a position in the field, they will approve. You won't have any troubles. You don't have to talk to anyone. You just make a couple clicks here, a couple clicks
Okay.
there, and then next thing you know, you're approved.
Okay, so you have that. I do know, at least from my own personal college experience, that the interest rate can get really out of control if you don't make your payments.
Absolutely.
So you're in a position, you go to school, you can't make the payments, you're getting deferred, which does not erase the debt, it just pushes it forward. Now, am I correct is that if the payment is deferred, the interest keeps rolling on that?
Absolutely. The interest does keep rolling even if you are deferment. So some people, they will just pay the interest. They will ask for the deferment, but they will just pay the interest because that is what they can afford to do right now.
So deferment is not really like a get out of jail free card.
No, it is not.
Because you're pushing your payment back, but you're
It's still,
but you're still racking up interest on what you're paying.
absolutely. Yes, you are.
I can really see how that can get out of control very, very
Absolutely.
quickly. So you're put in a position where, as a consumer, you weren't necessarily given all the facts up front, exactly how it's going to work out. So now you're in a position, I won't say stuck because I do value college, but you're here now.
Mm-hmm.
How did you, what was your process? How did you start to get your student debt under control?
Well, for the first 2 years, I just did those every once a year. I just did those clicks.
Duck and cover.
Yes, just did those clicks and I was able to defer it. But as I came up on my 2-year mark, I knew that, hey, I had to come up with a plan because I have to,
It's time to get serious.
it's time to get serious and I don't want this to affect my credit, so I need to go ahead and do something. So the first thing that I did is I got more information about my loans. Like the first thing I found out is that I was unaware that my school loans were made up of many different loans.
Wait a minute, I'm confused. So you got a school loan, but you had more than one?
Well, it is more than one because it's made up by the $62,000 is made up of more than just one loan. Okay, it was made up of 10 different types of loans. Okay, and so the first thing that I needed to do to get this under control was to get the loans consolidated. That was the first step. So there are various companies out there, and they will contact you all the time if they know that that you've graduated. And so there's companies out there that will charge you to consolidate your loans so that you can have a lower payment. So that my payment would be less than $615. But you have to be careful with those types of companies because you still have to make a payment to them.
Okay.
But this is a process. You don't have to go through one of those companies. You can do this yourself. You can request the paperwork from your lender and request the consolidation yourself, and that's exactly what I did. Instead of paying someone to do this paperwork, I did it myself.
How did you find that out? I'm assuming that wherever you got the loans from was not necessarily forthcoming with that information.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, did they tell you that up front, or?
No, they did not tell me that up front.
How'd you find that out? I mean,
well, one of the companies that were pursuing me and wanted me to pay them to help get my loans consolidated, I just started reading over the paperwork that they provided.
Are these like debt collection companies for college?
Yes, that promise you, hey, you can pay pennies on the dollars for your school loan, or we can erase your total student loan debt. You gotta be careful not to be sucked in by these companies.
That sounds like, I don't know that anything that has pennies on the dollar or free always makes me nervous. I think that's kind of a sucker move.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I became skeptical as well. But when I realized at the bottom of this paperwork that this had no affiliation with the government whatsoever, then I said, well, why don't I just call my lender directly and ask how I can consolidate my loans. So that's what I did. I called the lender. My lender just happens to be Great Lakes. I called them and I asked, how can I go about consolidating my loans? Because I didn't know that was something I needed to do until that company reached out to me and said, hey, we can consolidate your loans and make your monthly payment smaller.
Right.
So.
Oh, okay. So what happened with that? Did it work, or?
So what I did was I went on and I asked Great Lakes to send me the paperwork to do a consolidation.
Okay.
Okay. They sent me the paperwork. It can be quite, what's the word I'm looking for? It could be, there's lots of little things to it, you know, so it could be tedious. That's the word I'm looking for, tedious. But stick with it. Fill out the paperwork, provide them with all the information that they need, okay? And send it back in. And that's exactly what I did.
Now let me clear, this whole process, you kind of just stumbled into, you were self-taught
Yes.
on this process.
Yes.
How long did it take you?
From beginning to end, I started off with a loan that was charging me monthly of $615, and now I pay $50.97 a month.
$50. Wow.
And that's doing everything myself and not paying any company.
So you did not pay a company to fix
No.
the situation? Like,
No.
for example, in the world that I'm used to, I guess for bills that I'm familiar with, that would be like a credit fix company or someone who buys debt. You avoided them and went straight to the actual lender yourself,
Went
correct?
straight to the lender myself.
Okay.
And I would advise anyone to do that rather than to use a company to do that.
Okay. Wow, that's great. Knowing, do you have any advice for people who are in school now or about to go to school, who when you're talking about debt and the cost of school, because you didn't know all the ins and outs before you went through the experience. So let's say I'm new, I'm about to go to school. Give me some starter advice.
My advice that I would give to anyone starting out in school or is in school right now is basically, if you do have an employer that does tuition reimbursement, please use the reimbursement for that, because in the
What do you
end,
mean? Explain.
it's such as in
Wait a
my
minute, so you can use
situation-
it for something else?
Yes, your company is going to cut you a check,
And you can do whatever you want with
and you
it?
can do whatever you want with it.
God,
I'm a single parent.
I get it.
did what I needed to do with it.
Right.
But my suggestion to people going to school now that do have that option is to use it for that.
Sure.
When your company cuts the check to you and you get the check, take it directly to your school, because every little bit helps, and it can make a difference in how much your monthly payment ends up being. And my other advice would be for people that are in school is that take the time. It is worth it to take the time to see if there are scholarships available out there that you qualify for.
Okay. Now you mentioned earlier that your loan payment came in at about $600.
Yes.
That was at the beginning, right? Before
Yes.
interest fees and other, and you came in right at the $62,000 range, which the average cost varies anywhere from 40 to like 100,000. So a lot of graduates are falling into your to your position. I'm assuming you think that would be very stressful in a home, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Would I don't know how you feel as far as politics goes, and that's not really why I'm bringing you in. But I do want to. But you know how I feel, and the positions that I represent. Knowing what you know, would you support a system, our system, if it provided free tuition?
Absolutely, I would.
Because
I would support it on any levels. College.
well, see, the way that I look at things, the way my viewpoint goes, is that if I'm not spending $600 a month to go to school, then I'm going to spend $600 a month on something else. So I think that stimulates the actual economy because it's money in and it's money out. I think that lifts a burden off the off the consumer. Do you agree with that? Well, would you be willing, if you didn't have to pay, and you have children, so you have a child who is going to go that way soon, would you pay a little bit more in your taxes if you didn't have to pay for college for you or your son?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
I would. I think that enough is coming out of my check as
Right.
it is. Why not let it be for something that would help? I would absolutely be okay with
Tell
that.
them.
I would.
I want to go to final thoughts here. If you let's go ahead and reel it all the way back,
Okay.
2014. Knowing what you know now about the process and what you did, things you didn't do, would you do it all again? Is college for you?
Yes.
Okay. Do
I
you
think
think?
that college was absolutely for me.
All right. So you feel better. You feel a little safer knowing that you have a degree.
Absolutely, yes, I do.
Okay. It's just I've seen you in your personal life. I know some of the trials that you've been through in order to get from point A to B.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not. I would say that it's not so much the fact that you are not anti-college. It's just the reality of what it takes to get there. If we could remove that burden from the American system, I think. Do you think that would have made a big difference for you in the last couple of years if you didn't have to pay that?
Yeah, I think that it would have.
Okay.
Absolutely, because it would have been something that I would not have to stress on, and if I could ever take any stress out of my life, I definitely want to. Because
I know that's right.
because getting a payment from $615 to $50.97 a month was
Hallelujah.
not overnight.
Right.
It was.
I'm sure even the process to get to that point
Yes.
was stressful.
Yes, it was.
Is that now with this institution? Maybe we can give them a plug for anyone who might need some help. Where did you go for that? How to help somebody out? Let's say I'm screwed up. I got 10 loans out. I don't know what to do. I didn't stumble across the magic that you stumbled across. Where would they go? Do you have a?
You just need to go to your lender. That's it. Whoever the lender is on your loan, that's where you start. Don't be afraid to call them. Ask questions, and that's exactly what I did. I asked questions, and that's where you start.
Okay, great. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it here. Once again, we're here with
Latasha Smith.
All right, and I'm Matt Garrett. This is our very first KC story. Hey everybody, welcome back. I appreciate you sticking around. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I know I did. I enjoyed her. I'm not so sure how well I did, but she was great. I think we had a very good interview. She shed some light about her struggles in student debt. It wasn't all positive news, so I want to double down and thank her for coming on and sharing her story, because it's not always difficult to tell people not positive aspects of your life. We all have bad things that happen to us, but most people hide that. And the fact that she was willing to come on and share that, I thought I really want to give her a lot of props for that. Hopefully this sparks a debate with you as far as student debt. Maybe you have some information you want to share in the comments, some advice on what people can do about student debt, or you want to share your story. She did get some tips on what she did to reduce her student debt, I believe down to like $50 a month, an amazing amount. So if you're suffering from student debt, we want to help you. Maybe you have some, maybe you need some help. I'd be happy to I didn't do it. She knows. I don't know. But I'd be happy to pass the information on to her. And maybe she can get in contact with you to help you on what you need to do. So like I said, this is number 1 of my video series. I want to crank as many of these out as possible. I want to share as many stories as possible. If you have a story you want to share, please contact me. I'd love to have you on the show. Hopefully this shed some positivity in your life today, because I always want to end on a positive note, and positive information is always good. So I'm gonna get out of here. Hopefully I have another one of these pretty soon. I got a couple good people lined up, and we can share some more stories. All right, as always, my name is Matthew. I want to say believe in yourself, trust each other, but never trust or believe your government. All right, I'm out. Peace.